Hey, Yank Teacher Thoughts here, coming at you with another video. Today we're going to talk about harvesting seeds from your garden. And we're talking about those heirloom seeds, those seeds that one generation of gardeners passes down to the next. And the target of our seed harvesting today is going to be this ornamental poppy that I have behind me. Now, this is an Oriental style poppy that my wife's grandparents passed down to her. So I can trace this back at least 3 generations. And the seed was initially harvested somewhere in California decades and decades and decades ago, back before many of you, my viewers, were actually born. So this poppy here, it is grown simply for ornamental purposes. We're not harvesting it for anything else. You are going to see me collect the poppy pods, but I'm going to be crushing them and putting them back into the soil as an amendment. We are not harvesting the poppy pods. We are solely harvesting the poppy seeds for the purpose of building up more seed stock for our plants in future summers. So let's talk a little bit about seed harvesting and kind of why we do that. Now, a lot of you will be really familiar with buying seed packets in the store. And this seed packet here has 440 milligrams in it. That's not a lot. There's roughly about 32-ish grams in an ounce for those of you that are in Freedom units. So there's about there's less than a 64th of an ounce in this packet. And that's not a lot of seed. What I did in a previous day this week is I actually harvested all of this poppy seed here. It's probably close to about a half cup. But what we're going to do today is more pods have ripened. We're going to go ahead and harvest them, dump the seeds out, and we'll look at some of the yields from some of the pods. Now, they are out in a natural setting. I have not bagged them, so on windy days, they do spread a little bit of the seed and they lose that, so I know that there's going to be a little of that missing. But rather than going out and paying, what is this, $2.19 for 440 milligrams of seed, and I've seen some travesties of seeds. Like, I've bought seeds for my greenhouses classes, not looking real close at them, but like, ooh, I want that tomato variety, ooh, I want that one. And I get back to the school, and it's got 12 seeds. 12 for like $3.79. I'm beyond that. I want to do bulk seeds. I want to do seeds that I harvest, but specifically just off of the flowers. So let's look a little bit closer at some of these poppies, and we'll show you what's going on. All these poppy pods have, the blossoms have finished on them. There's one over right down there that has some of the petals left on it. It's a beautiful red double poppy. But what we're going to do is we're going to harvest the poppy pods that are dry. So like this one right here. And we're going to leave the ones that are green that are not fully ripe yet. So on this poppy pod here, you can see that there are openings up at the top. And these are little, kind of like little gates that open up, and you can see kind of an archway in there. Whenever you have a poppy pod that those are open, it means it's ready to harvest. Up here on this poppy, those gates are not yet open. Those little doorways are not open, so that pod is not ready to harvest. If you were to break this open, the seeds will either still be red or green, and they're not going to be that poppy black color that you're used to seeing. So they're not going to be ripe. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and harvest some of those ripe poppies. And we're going to take those seeds, we're going to dump them out into a container, and then we're going to kind of do some measurements and see how much seed on average we get for each one of those pods. All right, we're on our way again. We're going to go ahead and harvest a few of these pods, and I'm going to stick them in this glass jar that I have in my hand. So I'm just going to come in and I'm going to cut the stems off, and I'm going to just put those in there just willy-nilly. I'll just let them drop in. And we'll grab a few more in a little bit so that we can see how much seed is in each pod. So I've got 5 of them so far. And you notice the stems are dry or on their way dry, and those little doors are open. So we'll go ahead and put them in there. Maybe we'll just collect a full jar. We'll do that. Trying to be careful not to turn them upside down, because if we do, all that ripe seed is going to spill out. Now, not that I really mind, because this is going to go right back into the same area. This is where the poppies are absolutely the happiest, is up here against this wall. So I've got a Got another 4 of them in my hand, and we'll go ahead and transition back to the bench, and we'll let you see them pour out. Now I've got a few of these pods that I have tried to keep upright. So I'm going to dump, well, that one's a little hot to be working with. It's about 105 degrees right now. So I don't want to overheat my seeds and cook them before we get a chance to use them. But I'm going to go ahead and dump this one out in here. And what you can do is you can just tap them on the edge and shake them, and all of that poppy seed is going to come out as you do that. Okay, so we're going to set that one off to the side. We're going to do another one of these so you can see that, and we'll do 3 of these at once. So we've got one that we know is 1 pod, and we'll do 3 of these. Let's see, make sure you're still in the frame. Oh yeah, you can see that. We'll move it up a little bit closer. Okay, so I've got these 3. I kind of hold those upside down. I knock them back and forth. I go ahead and set them off to the side. All right, this one, I think this one's a little green. Yeah, I can see some of the seeds are a little bit red, so they're not completely dry on that. So we can always break open those pods and see if there's anything left in there. And they've got like little gills where those seeds form on. And it's pretty empty down in there, so I think that one's good. And like always, the poppy pods, break them up, and we return them to the soil, because there will be little bits of seed still in there. So let's see how much we got. Okay, so we're going to take this, I'm going to cool this spoon off a little bit. So I'm going to move this off to the side, and this is a teaspoon. So we'll see how much of a teaspoon we got with this. Try not to spill it. No, not quite a full teaspoon. So let's see. Let's get the next one up here. Let's get a half teaspoon and see what we had. If it was close to a half teaspoon. Yeah, that's pretty close. So about a half teaspoon of poppy seed is coming out of each one of those. So we're going to go ahead and keep going with this. Just for kicks, we'll add that to here. And we're going to see how much we can get in this container and see if we can fill it. So I'm going to take these guys here. I'm going to just knock them back and forth. Okay. The rest of our pods. I got 3 of them. There's 4 and 5. That last one. And there is 6. There's 6 of those pods now emptied. We'll add all of that poppy seed to our jar, and we'll see how well we go. All right. Tell you what, let's keep going on that. I'm going to go cut a bunch more of these pods, and we'll stick this down in the shade so it doesn't get any hotter here. And then we'll portion them out into some little tiny bottles, and we'll put them in different locations and see which ones kind of store the best. All right, let's put this down below. Okay, let's go ahead and harvest seed from our next closest poppy. We're going to do this a little bit different than we did before. We're just going to go ahead and just harvest them right at the side of the plant. Drop all those old pods down. No, I don't think that one's completely ripe yet, so we're going to cut the top off. Yep. See, those seeds are still a little wet, so we're going to kind of squeeze that. And I like to dry my poppy seeds afterwards, but before I put them in a bottle, so I don't get any mold that develops. So Just make sure we're not grabbing any green ones now. And as soon as you turn them up, yep, I grabbed a green one again. Well, maybe they're just not open far enough. There we go. I can hear the seeds hitting the ground as I do this. All right. There's another one. Just looking for the dried ones. You can hear the seeds knock out of these as I work on them. Oh, that one's not completely dry. It looked it. Here, let's cut the top off. There we go. Now we can access the seeds. There they go. They're pouring out now. Yep, it is dry enough. There we go. Lots of seeds, and I'm going to keep going on this. I'll let you see how it goes. Whoop. All right. Gorgeous poppies when they're in bloom. That bright red color and the double. Quite striking. Alright, looks like that's everything for today from this one, so we're going to go ahead and move on to the other poppies. Yeah, some of these are still a little wet to harvest, so kind of leaving those in place. I'll let them dry at, you know, 105 degrees here yesterday, and it's going to be probably 107 or 108 today. So should be plenty of dry air to get them nice and dry before we get that seed out of there. These are all our spent poppies. That's the seeds from last time. All right, let's get these out here. And we're gonna just dump these out. See if we can get them to go in. Ooh, those are a little green. Yep, got to massage it a little bit to get the rest of them out. So they're a little red in color. So when they're not ripe, they're kind of reddish in color on this particular poppy, and we want them to be like a gray. Yep. We want them to be like a gray-black. There are some red ones in there, but you can see the color difference on those. So we will spread them out and get them dried before we're all done. Move this off. I'm going to move this down below. Don't want to spill it. And we'll start just kind of cracking these open. You see all that seed coming out. There's nothing left in that one. Let's get you nice and close so you can see how those all come out. Do one All that nice poppy seed. And you know what? Honestly, one poppy pod would have enough seed for me for an entire season. But at this point, I really just kind of collect them, and I put the seed in several different stash locations so that nothing happens to it, because once we lose this heirloom seed, it's gone. We're not going to get it back again. So I make sure that I have just multiple locations. You know, some get stored in the freezer, some get stored in the garage, some get stored in the house and the kitchen, and then come springtime, we don't put all of the seed out at once. We'll put some in the spring, we'll put some in the fall. This planting I'm working on, I did actually seed that in the fall, and it did really, really well being seeded in the fall. So I think that's a technique I might try a little bit more here. And you can see some of those poppy seeds are red instead of the gray to black. So those are the ones that are going to need to be dried a little bit more. And as far as the bits of leaves and stuff, we can go through and we can run it through just a kitchen strainer, and it'll take most of those out there. But the rest of what's left over, I mean, really honestly, it's just going to add mulch to the soil, so we're not really too concerned about it. There you go. There's some nice gray seeds, and I can see there's definite size differences in the seed. Like these are almost twice the size as some of the other seeds I just got out of there. And I don't know if that's a dryness thing or if that's something else. Yeah, there's some small seeds again. It may be a dryness thing. But they're usually all pretty uniform looking by the time we're done. All right, so we're going to take a jar and we're going to kind of shake it up. You can see it's just kind of collecting at the bottom. Just going to take these pods out one by one. Knock them, crush them, throw them. A lot of these are upside down. I've already spilled all that seed out. There we go. Oh, that stuff didn't pollinate real well. Not a lot of seed in that one. It's kind of fun. They're all going behind me. I know I'm going to have poppies in the yard next year now. This one's not ripe yet, so we'll have to find an alternative way to harvest him. Cut that top off. All those seeds are down below. You can see that fin structure there. And yeah, those are all still kind of red. Oh, some of the seeds came out. Oh, anyway. A lot of seed in that one. Yeah. And the last pod of the bunch. All right. Let's get some of the big caps out of there. And that was that one pod. And this is what else we got. So we'll pour that off into our measuring cup. Oh, not quite a half cup. So a little bit, looks like it's probably a little bit more than a quarter cup. Let's bring up our bottle and see how much of that we can fill. All right, still going. Look at that. That's one full bottle of poppy seed. That's pretty fun. And that's just one of our harvests. All right, so there you go. There's one of the harvests of our poppy seeds from our heirloom Oriental decorative poppies that we have here. I still have probably well over 100 poppy pods to go. Didn't do a lot today and didn't do a lot the other day, but all said and done, I think we've got about a cup of poppy seed already, and we're going to keep going. And I'll show you another update video, and then we'll also talk about some other seeds that you can harvest for your garden. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed. I hope you learned something. Ag Teacher Thoughts out.